Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Oluwatosin Oladejo. So today I'm going to be sharing my NYC experience, the ups and the downs, the good and what should I say, the bad. It was quite an experience for me. I mean, it's 1 year I cannot forget. So stay with me on this journey. Okay, how did it even start? I remember when I was planning to go for NYC, it wasn't really something I kept in mind like that. So but I remember at the point, after listening to someone's NYC experience and how he prayed, I said, oh, I'm going to pray about my NYC journey, because it's like a 1 year journey that is redefining, and a lot of things can happen within just 1 year. And towards as I was about to start, I began to pray about my NYC experience. And I think one thing that happened was that God showed me the state I was to go to. So how did I get to know the state I was to go to before I even started, before I was even deployed to the state? So for those who are not in Nigeria, we have a 1 year compulsory service year. Well, should I say it's compulsory now? But at least if you want to, it's kind of mandatory to serve your country in another state for a year. And you do this, yeah, for a whole year. You serve in another state, you'll be posted to another state. So um I remember I asked a friend, okay, where does he think God is going to, post me to or something? I'm not God, but where I'm going to be posted to. And he said, I'll be posted to the east. So that was like the first thing I got about the state, the place I'll be posted to. And I remember the second time I was waking up from sleep, and as I woke up from sleep, the name just came to mind, this Eboy. And before that time, I mean, I had no idea about the state, about what it's about. I mean, if there's anything that I think I heard about Ebonyi, it was state and capital, Ebonyi, Abakaliki. I just knew Abakaliki was very it was a popular name, but aside from that, I really knew nothing about that state. So, and the third confirmation was when I was to be posted or deployed that same day. I can remember vividly. I was in the sitting room, I was on my phone about to check which state I'll be serving or I'll be staying in for a whole year. And right then, because my mom and I went to register, so she knew the states I had picked. Not that she forced me or said this is that I want you to go to and everything. No, it was just we just picked randomly that day. So the day I was to check for my posting letter, I remember my mom just said, are you sure it's not that boy they will post you to? I mean, it's not like we had talked about it or we had discussed, okay, which state do I want to serve. I mean, I wasn't even so serious about it, but and lo and behold, I was posted. I was posted to Ebonyi State. Okay, so when I was posted to Ebonyi State, I remember telling people that, when they asked, oh, where are you posted to? And I'll tell them Ebonyi State. And the reactions I got were so discouraging. I mean, so discouraging. So discouraging at the point I was praying that, oh God, let my state change. Because the first time I was deployed, I didn't go. I stayed back. So the second time I was hoping, praying that um that they would change the states, that the states will be changed, that somehow I'll be posted somewhere else. Well, I thank God my parents who didn't force me to, oh no, we don't want you to go far. They allowed me to do God's will. And I thank God for grace to also wait, because I had a choice. I could have redeployed, I could have changed the state. But one thing that really, really helped was the fact that I knew that this was where God wanted me to go to after receiving those confirmations, and God gave me his word. And so that was like an assurance for me that, okay, you're making the right decision, just go. All right, so I'm not going to say everything because it's going to take a whole lot. I just want to pick two key verses. So the DDK, I went. I mean, I knew nobody. I knew nobody. Thankfully, I was able to contact the executive of my church fellowship in the States. So at least I was able to get some directions. And well, the journey started. And I went to the 3 weeks orientation camp. And I'm grateful I met wonderful friends there. But let me just even go straight to the nitty gritty of this post and some of the experiences I faced. So first of all, remember I said I was very sure that this was where God wanted me to be. But guess what? It wasn't. It was so full of challenges for me, and that's where I'm going to bring in some of the lessons I learned through my course of service here. So when I was posted, the first place I was posted to was a school. Should I call it a secondary school? Well, I don't even know. I don't want to start describing the school. But it was a small school anyways, and a private school. And for anyone that's worked in a private school, you understand that they want to use you. I mean, right from the first day of the school, I didn't have a good experience. And because of the owners or the people in charge of the school, it was a toxic environment. I'm not going to mention the name of the school, but trust me, it was one experience I don't want anyone to go through. So I resigned the school, and because of, I mean, right from the first day of the school, the people working in the school themselves were even telling me. I remember two teachers I met, and they were discouraging me from even coming to the school. So you can imagine how toxic that place was. And so I wanted to change at that first instant, but the owner of the school, the lady, or the woman in charge, she was, because she needed people actually to work for her. Somehow she worked it out that she knew the LGI, and so I was unable to change for a while, and it was so hard. I mean, I had to teach. I remember out it was a private school, so I remember then I was staying in the family house. I'll leave very early, around like 7. Most of the time I wouldn't even eat. If I'm eating, I'm going in late, and I'll leave around 7, leave school around maybe 4 or 5. And even the period of the school time, because I was teaching maths and English and quantitative reasoning, I was teaching 3 classes, maths and English. And you understand that maths and English is like every single day. Like almost, so I was teaching, and it was like back to back, 3 classes, back to back. I wouldn't sit for hours, and I was even doing because they had after school lesson hours. I would still teach again. And guess what? Even on top of all that, they were deducting our money. I wasn't the only copper that served there. The owner of the school was always looking for ways. They were doing it to their regular staff. So what made us different? She would, if you come 1 minute late before 7, she would deduct 500 naira from your, salary. And guess what? Imagine how much was she paying. I remember I had to take transport. How much was she paying us? She was supposed to pay us 2,000 naira a month. Imagine you come late to school for like 4 times, just 4 times, and probably you're just 5 minutes late. I'm not really late though. It's not like for the assembly. I feel like we're regular students, or I mean regular teachers. So your 2,000 naira is gone for that month. Yeah. And remember the stress. And I'm going to, you may not really understand why I'm talking like this, but it's a whole bunch of experience. So I remember for like the first 4 months, I was not paid anything. And the reason why was not even because maybe I came late during those times. It was because on one of the days, the school children were on break. It was like a meet-and break. And me, I felt meet-and break. Is everyone not supposed to take a break? It's a 2 weeks break. And I didn't even know, because I was like, we're coppers. I've marked my scripts, I've submitted the scores. So what am I still doing in the school? I've submitted the scores. What am I still doing in the school during break? Shouldn't have my break. Because I didn't come to school. I wasn't the only person, but I'm just talking for myself. Because I didn't come to school for those, I think 2 days, my money was deducted. And if you miss a day, I think it's 2,000 that'll be deducted from your salary. If you come late, 500 is deducted. So imagine that for like 2 days, those 2 days I didn't come. So I think about 2,000 was deducted. And how much is the salary? 2,000. Meaning I didn't even get. So for like 4 months, I was not paid anything. And I was spending money on transport because where I was staying was not close to the school. I was spending money on transport, going, coming. I had to spend for myself. And one thing that again was that during my service, I just made up my mind I wasn't going to ask my parents for money, because I was like, I mean, we're getting money from the government. Although even that one gone, it was just God helping us, because it being in the East things were quite very expensive. So I was like, I'm not going to disturb my parents for money. So I was spending my own money, and it wasn't even sufficient. I had to pay house rent, at least some amount for house rent. I had to pay transport fare. I had to buy foodstuffs. and all of those things. And still this, and I'm working, stressing myself, and I'm still not getting paid. And just, I mean, it was, I don't want to make this video too long, so I may not go deep into detail, but it was hell. So because of, not being paid in school, I had to take up extra lessons. So imagine I'll leave home. I was always the first to leave the house and the last to come back, because sometimes after school, finishing around 4 or 5, I will go for lessons. Sometimes I'll have to go for 2 lessons. So sometimes I'm coming late. Most of the times I was always coming around 6, 7. I mean, coming back home around 6, 7. I'm tired, really tired, because I worked throughout the day. I've thought, I've talked, I've stood. So it really drained me a whole lot. Now that was just one part of the experience I faced. It was a whole lot. I'm really not going deep into detail, but it was a whole lot. The emotional trauma. I mean, these people, the people in that school, or the manager in the school. As I said, I wasn't the only one that was facing this. The regular workers during my period of teaching in that school, there were so many teachers. Let me not say so many, because it's not like school was big. Teachers left the school. I saw the way teachers were being ill-treated. Ill-treated. I mean, it was a whole lot of experience. So another issue I faced that was really a big challenge was where I was staying. I was staying with some of, brethren, like family house, but it was a building we had to pay for. And somehow that day they have issues with water. Most of the times they don't have good water, so most of the time people have to fetch water from the well. I mean, it was a very, like, really, really bad situation. I remember in their house they had issues with their public system. I was living in a 2-story building. When I mean 2-story, I mean the ground floor, first floor, and second floor, and we were on the last floor. So I remember for months we didn't have water in that house. We did not have water. I mean, no water for washing, no water for drinking. We had to buy pure sachet water, like almost throughout the day, sachet water. There was no water for, I mean, basically everything you can think of, whatever you need water for, we had no water for it. There was no water running in the house for months. For months. I'm not exaggerating, for months. And then what we had to do was we had to walk some distance, fetch water. And guess what? The water we're even fetching, we still have to pay for it. Well water. Now that was quite different from what I experienced. I'm not saying I've never fetched water before. I remember where I was living before at home. We used to, sometimes when there's no water, we would go to the well, fetch water and all that. But here, you fetch water and you still pay for that water. Well water, natural well water, you pay for it. And because we needed water to wash, we needed water to cook, we needed water for the toilet, we needed water for everything. I mean, we had to fetch a whole lot of water. And I mean, I remember it was an expense because I was not used to it. It's not like, as I said earlier, it's not like I've never fetched water before, but not on that large scale, like, and we had to fetch water, climb the staircase multiple times. I mean, I learned a lot. I learned how to, I was like, God, I didn't come to this episode to come and learn how to carry water on my head, because I was not used to carrying water on my head. I mean, it was that I learned how to carry water. You carry water on your head, one hand, use your other hand, carry another bucket of water. So you can carry as much, buckets of water as you can in as much time as possible. Wow, it was really a real experience. Imagine carrying, and at that point I was very, very, I was underweight, coupled with the stress. So it was a whole lot of stress for me. The school work was even the major stress. I had to go for lessons. The lessons were not, it's not that they were stressed, because I was actually drained during the day. The lessons, had the little strength I had, I would use it for the lesson. And then sometimes I'll come back home, I'll have to come and fetch water again. I mean, and there are times when I would work. It was a whole lot. Work distances for 30 minutes. I love working, so that was not the point. But the point was the fact that my strength would have been drained, and I was still draining the more, or situations were around to drain it the more. So yeah, and because of those issues, those stressful issues, schoolwork and everything, I remember I was falling sick a whole lot of times. I would fall sick this month, next month to fall sick, this month, next month fall sick. And then we also added to my stress, because I was this kind of person, I didn't know how to rest during the day, and I wasn't eating well. Not because I didn't even have the means to eat, but it's just my own eating habits. So I was basically not getting the needed nutrients I needed. And I was also being like stressed out a whole lot. It was a whole lot, a whole lot. So I was falling sick. I remember the last time I fell, one of the times I fell sick, I was purging, I was stooling for a whole week. A whole week I was stooling. And I couldn't eat because anything I eat, I would pass it out. I literally lost weight. Like I really did lost weight. And then the last time I felt sick, it was really bad. Really bad. I had to go to the hospital. I had to stay overnight there in the hospital time. But then I was eating and I was vomiting everything I was eating. I was so weak. I didn't even know what was happening at that point in time. I mean, these are testimonies I have that through all the whole situation, God saw me through. So at those times, I kept asking God, God, you were the one that brought me. Why am I going through this? Why am I? Because literally, it was like I was the only person in that family house where I was. I was really, really going through that stuff. I mean, it was really bad. And I was like, I had other people that maybe it's once or twice they'll go to work. I had other plans for service here, and during the first month or first few months beginning, I couldn't do any other thing because I mean, they had little or no time. Although I was able to do some little stuff, but not as much as I wanted to do. And I remember praying so many times and like, God, I don't know what to do. This thing is getting so much. I tried changing my PPA, but somehow the owner of the school knew the LGI, so she kind of, now paid him and everything. So the man refused because normally, if you're not satisfied with where you work, you have the you are entitled to ask for a change if you have rational reasons to change. But this man did not listen. He didn't listen to read coppers. I said I wasn't the only person serving that place. So for months, I would pray and pray and pray and say, God, you told me you brought me here. You told me you brought me here. Why am I going through this? Like, see, I seriously had questions. I kept asking God, kept praying about God, please let there be a change. Why do I have to go through all this stress? Why am I falling sick every now and then? Why am I strained out? Why am I so fatigued and everything? And well, God came through. That's the beautiful thing about it. God came through. I remember, I can't remember exactly what months, I eventually left that school. But I remember what happened. I was praying one day and I think God gave me a verse and he said, fortunately I can't remember, but just like something of good news that yeah, it's changing my story. And right there, now let me give you a little background story. In the NYSC scheme, it's only if you can only change your place of assignment after in the space of the first 3 months. After 3 months, there is no opportunity to change. And by the time God told me that I was changing my story or changing the situation, I think I was in my 5th month. So rationally or normally at that time, I had no opportunity to change. But this is where God shows up. This is where God proved himself that, hey, I brought you to this place. I didn't leave you to be stranded. I didn't leave you to just, go. I have a purpose. I have a plan. I know what I'm doing. And so that month, even though on a norms, according to the NYSC scheme, I can't change my PPA again. That month, I changed. And guess what? I had the liberty to choose where I wanted to work. I don't want to go into full details of how it came about, but somehow the school I was working in, the situation, the way they were treating us as coppers, the coordinator of the NYC in my state, got to know about the whole situation, and eventually the school was blackmailed and we were taken out of that. It was like after that point, this Bible verse say, when God turned the captivity of Israel, were like them that dream. That was my experience. After that, and after changing the school, it was a whole chilling moment for me. Trust me. As in, my story completely changed. Even the people in the family they knew that the time I had to go to school was when I had a class. And the time I had a class, after teaching the class, I'm free to go back home. So most of the times I wasn't even going to school. So I wasn't going to school every day. I mean, it was like chilling moment for me. As in basically my story changed. And at that time also, the water issue in the house got fixed. So everything just happened all at once. Like the water got fixed, we had running water, we didn't need to fetch water, wait for rain to fall. Those times are so funny. But right then, if when rain's falling, we'll just carry our bucket downstairs so that we don't have to go fetch water or pay for water. And then so we'll put our bucket downstairs, let the rain fall, wait till the rain falls, and then we'll carry our bucket downstairs. So it was a very sweet, bitter experience, and put it that way. All right, so I was it was when I mean chilling for me. Oh Lord, it was sometimes I think there were days I didn't even go to school. At the point, I even had to drop the lessons I was doing, not because um of anything, but I just decided that now that my troubles are over, I mean, God just turned the whole thing around, and I mean, I actually enjoyed the end of my service here, or towards the end, middle, towards the end, and I was able to do some other stuff that I wanted to do right from the beginning. So, what are the lessons that I want to pick up here? Number one, when God sends you to a place, please go. Looking back, I have no regrets. I have no regrets serving Neighboring State, despite how the place is, the challenges. So, but the fact is, when God sends you somewhere, go there. I don't have any regrets. I can tell you that I've seen reasons why God sent me to that state at that point in time. It was not anything of chance. And then another thing that I learned is the fact that God sends you somewhere does not mean there won't be challenges. The fact that God leads you to something, to do something, to a relationship or to a problem, or even to marriage, or to a job, or to a position, or to a place, it doesn't mean there will be challenges. So you might get there and you're like, why is everything hard? Why is everything, not going so smoothly? And you're wondering, is it God? Is it not God? It doesn't mean there will not be challenges. Just think of Joseph in the Bible, still on the story of Joseph. When God sent, Joseph to Egypt, because God was the one sent Joseph to Egypt. Joseph faced his own round of challenges. It was not easy at all. Imagine working as a slave, being thrown to prison, being accused wrongly. So many things Joseph had to encounter, but yet God was always sent him there. The good thing about this is the fact that God sent you means God is with you, which for me it's the most important thing. Throughout the stay of Joseph in the in Potiphar's house, in the prison, the one thing was certain. The Bible says that the Lord was with him. And that's what I feel that you should take note of wherever you are, whatever situation. Be sure that God is with you in that place, because that is what will matter. That was what would matter at the end of the day, is God with you. Because if God is with you, everything will fall in place at the right time. You may not understand what's going on at that moment, but be sure that as long as God is with you, as long as God was the one who took you there and brought you there, he has a plan. He's working things out. Joseph, in his own story now, he didn't know what God had in mind, but at the end of it, it was way bigger than even what God had shown him earlier. It was way bigger than even what his brothers thought, the ones who had sold him to Egypt. And the same thing for you. If God has brought you here, it may not be easy. You may not see things going so smoothly. You might even be looking at other people that probably, paved their way or tried to do things their way. And I'm wondering, but these people are being, they're doing it right. I mean, they're enjoying. These people are not struggling. I wonder, how come me that I even obeyed God, I'm not the one facing those challenges? Don't worry, God has his purposes. And that leads me to my third point. Sometimes God allows these challenges or these experiences to stretch us. If you're not placed in some experience, if you don't face some circumstances or some experiences, you will not know how far you can go. Look at a rubber band. If you don't stretch on a rubber band, you will know the limits of that rubber band. You will know the extent to which it can stretch. And so sometimes God keeps us in those situations to work upon us, to stretch us. I believe that all those stages Joseph went through were preparing him for the throne. The fact that he had to coordinate people in Potiphar's house, the same thing when he got to prison, and the experiences again, those things were building up to build capacity in him, so that when he got to the throne, he won't be inexperienced or ignorant or deficient. God was building those things, and even though he could not see it at that moment. And I tell you, when God allows some experiences, when God, please, not your own mistakes, when God allows some experiences in your life, be sure that he is using those experiences to shape you, to build you, to prune you, to prepare you, to build capacity in you. So all you need to do is just to stick with him and just trust him out. And that fourth thing is, when you have challenges, pray. I remember those days I'll pray and pray and pray, say, God, I mean, one thing that really helped me pray because I was sure it was God that was leading me there. So that gave me that confidence to go to God. And I was like, God, you are the one that brought me here. Please bring me out. And in God's time, in God's way, He brought me out of that situation. So please stick with God, stay with Him. You may not understand. I want to listeners, sometimes it's not about the destination. It's not only because destination is also important. God has a place He's taking, but it's not only about destination. The journey is also very important. Trust me, that 1 year I spent in that state is part of the journey I'm going through. It's just like, when the children of Israel had to journey through the wilderness to get to the promised land. God had a reason why it took them through the wilderness. They had another option, a quicker, safer, better, or easier option. But God had a reason why He was taking them through the wilderness. And if the children of Israelites had not passed through the wilderness, there's every tendency they will never have experienced, or not even them, we ourselves will never know what it means for the sea to be parted into two. We'll never have known what it means for um manna to fall from heaven. We'll never have known what it means for water to come out of the rock. So the truth is, some of these experiences you're facing, because God wants to use it to tell you a story. God wants to use it as a source of encouragement to other people later on. God wants but if everything you express is smooth, easy, you won't even have something to share with other people. God will not be able to. I'm not saying God will not be able to. I'm not saying everything has to be hard every time, but there are times when God allows these things. One of the reasons is so that He can use you as an example, as a testimony to other people, as a proof of His wonders. Now I can tell someone that, hey, although the norms was that after 3 months you can't change, but when it was time for God to change my PPA, He did it in His way, He did it in His time, He did it so easily that everything, and God just turned the whole story around. So please, if you're in a situation, number one, be sure that you have God with you. Number two, don't worry about what people say, because I remember then people tried to discourage me. I didn't even receive any encouragement. I didn't receive any good news like, hey, I think it was more of looking at negative side. But as long as God is once and you just keep at it and trust that He will see you through. So this is like some of my NYSC experience. I believe you've learned one or two things from it. If you want to share your experience, please go to comment and your comment, your experiences, your lessons in the comment section, and do share, and I appreciate if you subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Bye.